feeling stuck, like you're standing at the edge of something more, but you're sort of unsure on how to take the leap?
If so, it is time to break free from the hesitation, the self doubt, and that spinning in place. Join us, Lisa and Kari, for Unstuck and Unstoppable, which is a powerful masterclass designed to help women just like you move from uncertainty to bold, clear action.
So, in this transformational session, you'll learn how to break through the barriers that have been holding you back. You'll reconnect with your power and your purpose, and you'll step confidently into your next chapter with clarity and courage.
So, this is your moment to stop playing small and start living the life that's been calling you. If you're ready to move forward with confidence and create what's next, this masterclass is for you.
Absolutely. So go to our website, thethingsweknowpodcast.com, and click on Masterclass. We cannot wait to see you there. You're not meant to stay stuck. You're meant to be unstoppable.
Can't wait to see you there.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. So today we are diving into a phrase that we have all heard and quite frankly have been conditioned to, which is just be nice. Why can't you just be nice?
We want to explore that phrase. While seemingly harmless, it actually can shut people down. I'm curious what you felt when you heard Lisa say that too. But especially women, it can keep us small. It can keep us quiet. I mean, I would say women and children, right?
Yeah.
Keep us from setting real boundaries or speaking our truth.
Well, and let's just pause for a second. Before we got on this call, before we recorded, we were talking about the scandal in the Catholic Church. So,
Right.
yes, women and girls are certainly under the sugar and spice and everything nice bullshit, right? But when you are being abused by a person of power, no matter what your gender is, this
Mhm.
you tend to keep it to yourself, with
Yeah.
this
So it's like
same conditioning.
just be nice, be respectful can
Hmm.
sometimes really shut down your intuition and your inner
Yes.
knowing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So okay, one of my favorite
Wow, we
distinct
just we just went right there. We didn't
that's
even tiptoe in. That's at the end.
and thanks for listening, everyone. Look, here's a distinction. It comes from a short video by Antoinette Griffin called Being Nice versus Kind and four differences. She says niceness is reactive, but kindness is intentional. Niceness avoids tension, kindness leads into truth. And it can't be said better than that.
That's
Being
true.
nice and kind are actually two totally different things. And the point of today is kindness, good. Of course, you want to, yes, nice is nice, but nice at the risk of speaking your truth serves no one.
Right. I mean, there's also the surface stuff that's really important in friendship between women, right? Like, oh, that's pretty, or trust me, that wear something different.
Right. You
One is
got lipstick
nice,
on your teeth, you've got
right?
spinach in your teeth. Yeah.
One sounds nicer, the other one was kinder. So
Right.
it's really like every that and everything in between.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
and we want to talk about how the term "just be nice" is often a modern extension of all the patriarchal scripts, like why can't you act like a lady, be more
Mm,
ladylike, don't speak out of turn, why don't you smile more? All of that
mm.
is really asking people to betray themselves to make other people more comfortable.
Yeah, it's usually not about kindness. It's not even about
Mm-mm.
being nice. It's about control. Being nice, and I feel like I keep wanting to be like air quotes, being nice in this way often means staying quiet, being agreeable, being non-threatening,
Right.
non-threatening.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Whew. And for so many of us, being told we were raised right
mm.
actually meant we learned to not rock the boat, to stay small. And in many cases, we've talked about this a lot, to be easy, like
Mm,
to not need anything, and to be low maintenance, to be easy. It was just, oh, that script was just kind of pounded in for us as women
yeah.
in the media and in like pop culture. I mean, when Harry Met Sally, I think that whole idea of being high maintenance, or just
Yep.
like, like, you're not easy. Why are you like that? Just like, I just like things the way I want it. And it's very much implied that she's difficult because
Hmm.
she doesn't just smile and go along with whatever's served to her, right? So like, just in innocuous ways, that was driven home, that what you want is to be nice, to be easy, to not rock the boat. That
But
will
isn't,
make you more lovable and more choosable.
I don't know if you've had this experience, but I have to go back to Harry Met Sally, like how innocuous and yet impactful that has been. Have you had situations where you've been out to lunch with women and they've been like, oh, I mean, I don't really like, but I'm not. Now,
Yeah.
I will say this, like I am guilty of it. I want to out myself. We were definitely have situations where I've been in a restaurant and maybe something hasn't come the way I thought it was going to be. And Darren will say, well, why don't you send it back? And I often won't because it's like, oh no, I think I just misread whatever it was going to be,
Mm,
right? But when somebody wants to ask for a change up, I have also stood on the other side of it where I've said, especially in this day and age with food allergies, no waiter is going to go, we don't do that, right? Because
right.
they run the risk of somebody having an allergic reaction to something,
Right.
right? So, but it's amazing how quickly people default to it. Um, Myself included. Again, I don't have a problem asking for what I want. I think I have a problem sending something back. So it's just a
Yeah.
different side of the
I
coin.
mean, and I've worked in the service industry. You probably have too, but I can't remember. Have you worked in a restaurant? Have you?
For
Okay,
like a
so
day
I
and a
was
half.
for a long time a waiter and then a bartender. And so in that case, I just have always, the whole be nice, be kind, like that is where you could do it nicer. You
Correct.
definitely could do it like a jerk.
Yes.
People should not be made to feel bad for asking for things the way they want,
Right.
and they can do it nicely. But
No, I agree. I agree.
so that, like, that's maybe a gray area, because that one example. But I do think,
Actually, I think it's a perfect.
kindness is where it wins. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfect example because you're right. You shouldn't feel bad for asking for what you need. And restaurant, relationship, job, but there's a way to approach it from a place of kindness and not staying small because I want to be nice and not ruffle feathers.
Right.
And all everyone wins, right? So
Right.
I think that's actually a perfect example. And again, the pressure starts early. Like we learned this as young girls, and our mothers learned it, and their mothers learned it, and their mothers learned it. I think I see a turn a little bit in millennials and Gen Z and moving forward. But there is this aspect of niceness becomes a strategy for safety, especially when you're walking around town.
Mm. Say more.
Well, so I don't think if a man said to a man the shit that gets said to Charlotte or me or you on the street, right? Like they'd be like, "What?" and fisticuffs, right? But I know when I get catcalled, I often, "Oh, thanks." I keep walking. I don't engage, but I don't ignore. And and Charlotte and I think we talked about this in Barbie in the Real World with Charlotte, but that was 2 seasons
Right.
ago. But Darren has often said to Charlotte and I, why don't you just tell him to shut the fuck up? And Charlotte and I are immediately like, oh, no, 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 no. Because
No.
that will set you up. No, you just say thank you and you keep walking, right? Or thank you and
Hmm.
you move. Um, so there is a place where I understand niceness can be a strategy for safety, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. What's interesting, as you say this, I'm thinking, like, I parent three really nice kids.
You
Like
do.
they're in different ways. Like Peter is not a bullshitter. He can't just be nice to be nice, but he is a kind person and he
Hmm.
knows how to be polite.
Yes.
But my other two are just incredibly nice people. So when I think about this, I think about places and ways and in moments in parenting where I've had to tell them, like, you don't have to, like you
Yeah.
don't have. But when you say that, it becomes, when you give that example, it becomes like the heart of this for me. It becomes very gendered because
Yep.
I think of that quote by Margaret Atwood, like, men are afraid women will laugh at them, women are afraid men will kill them.
Yep.
And there is just a physical power differential in general.
Yeah.
In
Yep.
general, we're not talking every specifics, but oh my gosh, yeah, like you walk around and you be nice. Like the last thing I want to do, I mean, I went through this in that remodel with the contractors who hated each other, where I was like taking so much abuse of them yelling at each other through me, but yelling at me
Mm,
really.
yep.
And Miles watching that and going, "Mom, you were so nice about it." Like, well, number one, my bathroom is ripped down to the studs, and we need it. Like, we can't afford to stay out of the house much longer. Like, we have to get back in, and so I need this to get done. So this is a means to an end, but also the last thing I want to do is make anything worse with either of their fragile egos, right? So
Right.
what I need to do here is butter them both up so we can get back to work and get this shit done. But like this is, I've been trained for this for a long time, since before I
Yep.
was old enough to earn a paycheck. Like, you do know how to protect fragile egos. Often it's women to men, but like you do know, like, there is a just be nice for survival to get past things and make things more pleasant. And it's kind of gross, right? But like
Yeah.
you do learn that in life, and hopefully, like in that conversation we were having with Barbie in the real world, you and I wanted to think we were in a better place, and we weren't. Charlotte has it just as bad as we did. I think more
And
people
worse.
agree now, and worse, more people, we can find more people to agree now that it's gross, but it's not any less, obviously it's even more. So I do think this whole just be nice thing, it gets so complicated because you're right.
Yeah.
Like, in both those situations, it's a means to an end to get through something. It's not to like stay in a relationship. It's literally to get from point A to point B. I'll be nice.
Right.
However, being told to just be nice
Right.
um, is a manipulation.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I totally lost my place in our notes because that just really hit me. But I do
Well,
want to talk about the difference between kindness and niceness, and like you said, because like in any situation, like truly kindness is rooted in truth and in respect, and niceness is often just about being liked.
yep.
True. That's very often the case in a lot of just day-to-day situations. In the things we were talking about though, like, kindness to who? I don't need to be kind to you if you're harassing me. I don't need
Right.
to be kind to you if you're yelling at me. I'm going to be kind to myself and pick the way to get through this the quickest.
Right. So in that you're right. So there's no kindness, right? We're not stopping and talking and being like, "Oh, tell me about yourself." Yeah, thanks.
Right.
I do like, you know what I mean? Like we're being
You didn't
nice.
earn my respect.
Exactly. We're being nice to get to the next stop. You're right. So there is a place as nothing's black and white. Nothing's ever black and white. There is a
Mm-mm.
grayness in everything. But I love the idea of kindness is rooted in truth and niceness is rooted often in being liked, um, or comfort, right? Like it's sometimes it just feels like, oh, I'm just gonna be nice because that'll not ruffle feathers. But it's not often about your own comfort. It's about the other person's comfort. Like I I know I've been told to be nice when I'm just being honest.
Right. I think the flip side's true. Like, so the opposite of just being nice is being honest, being assertive, right?
Yep.
And then it gets framed as aggression, especially
Yeah.
for women. We talk about this a lot. It's no secret that when women are more assertive and more honest, they're labeled bitchy or
Yep.
aggressive or something negative. Insert a negative word. So,
Yeah.
like, so of
Unless you own
course,
that
to
word.
avoid that label, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To avoid that label, people just, choose to be nice.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time I heard Glennon Doyle say, being a good girl means being quiet, making yourself small, being agreeable and not making waves. Being free means being honest, bold, and at peace with disappointing others.
Mm,
That is what we're talking about. I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, that was my in with Glennon. I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen. Let me tell me more.
Yeah. If for those of you who haven't read Untamed,
Mm,
highly recommend it. And also Brené Brown, who's also talks a lot about this. She talks about how, being clear is kind, being
yeah.
unclear is unkind, and niceness is often about avoiding clarity. It avoids discomfort and accountability. So where, where you are clear and honest is where the kindness is. You care enough and respect that person enough to make sure there's nothing confusing.
Yeah, I
I,
mean,
yeah.
well, I was just gonna, we've had this example before of like when I talk to my kids about their art, not everything is my taste. I could tell them everything's amazing. And to what end would that do for them? Because they're going to be, we just did a whole pod on rejection. There's going to be rejection. And me trying to comfort them all the time doesn't behoove them. It doesn't serve them. But I'm not like ever, yeah, no, that sucks. So even in sharing constructive criticism, there is a way to be kind, um, when you're in a job, when you're with friends, when you're anything, you don't have to be nice so that everybody's comfortable. You just have to be kind in standing in your truth.
Mm, I love that.
I thought this was interesting. Full disclosure, Carrie does all the research here. So but I read the scripts before she sends them. And this is fascinating. There is cardiovascular research showing that self-silencing in midlife for women is linked to increased plaque in their arteries. So literally, being too nice can break your heart. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's there's a lot of things I was looking at, and one of them by the Newport Institute, self-silencing cardiovascular risk in midlife women and why young women self-silence is really fascinating. And one of those is in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine. The other one was Newport Institute, and then Time Magazine wrote a great article called "The Price Women Pay for Being Good," and it also
Mm,
touched on that research, which was what made me look at it. Um, yeah, there's a real cost to constantly being nice. It leads to self-abandonment. You put others' needs
yeah.
before your own to stay likable. We talk about people pleasing a lot, but really it's self-silencing. I mean, if we could look
What
at it
a
that way, because
phrase. Self-silencing. I mean, that
right,
is powerful.
I think I told you recently, my sister made a good point that like there's some things she likes about like being good to others and putting
Mhm.
their needs first, and I was like, yeah, but you're not a people pleaser. And she was like, I just don't like the term. She's not a self-silencer. She
Yeah.
says no a ton. She knows how to take care of herself, and because she does, she can show up for others the way she wants to. And people who don't know the difference look at that and might say, "Oh, that's people pleasing." No, it's not. It's being generous and caring for others. But self-silencing, self-abandonment is really what we're talking about when we talk about the type of people pleasing that needs a lot of help, because they're putting their life on hold for others. And I think Carl Jung said like the greatest tragedy is the unlived life of a parent, like the kind of parents that are just
Mm,
all about their kids and they just stopped living their own life.
mm.
And I think sometimes that's about like just wanting to be this nice mom or wanting to be this nice daughter or this nice wife, and then you forgot to live.
Well, and you lose yourself, and then when the kids leave, or the parent dies, or fill in the blank, the relationship's over, then you are floundering because you do not know who you are or what you want. And holy moly, that's talk about heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it leads to a lot of like unhealthy things physically.
Yeah.
um
Mm,
yeah, I mean that's the whole point of the physical the research that was done is like and we see that in all humans, like people who
sure.
stuff their emotions in and don't express themselves have a much higher likelihood of disease and depression and all that.
Yeah, so this was the Time article from 2023. The price women pay for being good. Chronic self-silencing, especially among women, is linked to higher rates of depression, autoimmune disease, and I am a big believer in autoimmune comes from the shit you are not dealing with,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and burnout. The trauma response is dressed up as politeness.
Oh,
Again, I know it's so like, it just
right. And that's
hurts.
sad. Like it's that emotional dissonance where
Yeah.
you're smiling on the outside and
Mm.
screaming on the inside. It's unsustainable and it wears you down over time. And not only that, like I think about that, like think about whether it's you who's ever done it or like a mom or an aunt or a grandmother or a friend or a sister or whatever, just like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Wait, they're
Mhm.
like doing this. And everybody who has a pulse can feel the opposite.
Yeah.
And when we do that in front of young people, we're teaching them to not trust their instincts, right? And not trust what they are picking up. And so it like it just ripples out with damage.
The funny thing is that you don't even. I was thinking about. I had a situation once over text where I said I'm fine, and the person responded, "I mean, I don't think you are." Like over text, energetically, they could feel. Is that true?
No,
You sure about that?
it-
Oh, our inside jokes, our Tim Robinson inside jokes. No, I mean, I think you're.
yeah.
Yeah, it's and you know when you're doing it. Our bodies. Oh, the wisdom.
Yeah.
Again, you and I were having this conversation earlier, like from the Gen X perspective of like, we just get along. We just keep on keeping on. And and then we don't know where to turn when we actually do need help because we have self-silenced and self-abandoned so many times in the effort of just being fine that then when we are losing our fucking shit, we don't know how we don't have the tools to be able to ask for help and support.
No, it's true. It's that goes back to the self-abandonment. And it's interesting how this starts to turn into like all these other symptoms and other things about not expressing yourself, but it
Yep.
literally starts with just be nice because there's this like ironclad rule we think is most important. No matter what, I should at least be nice, or I should pretend things are good, or I should like for everyone else's sake, just be nice about this, right? It's just that this weird, weird like agreement that you really didn't have to adhere to.
Nobody, yeah, you didn't know you were signing up for that. Okay, I have a quick question. When you say just be nice, or when you hear me say just be nice, do you have a visual?
I've never heard you say just be nice, so that was
No, no, no. I'm
funny.
just saying in
But
now, as we're talking,
right,
like, because every
just
time you
be
say it, I
nice.
picture that I think it's Allison Brie, the unicorn, puffy cloud unicorn from the Lego movie. Do you
Yeah,
know who I'm talking about? You know that
totally,
character? That's, where she's just like, and then at some point in the movie, she loses her fucking shit. Like, that's what I
totally.
picture every time you say, just be nice. That's what I just have this immediate visual.
I don't know why just be nice like make like
It's like
it's my 8 year
sandpaper.
old. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's like I have it like I'm 8 years old and I'm dressed up and I never liked being dressed up, and I was probably like wanting to complain and I was just being told to be nice. I don't know. There's something like that. And may not have even been my parents, but you know what I mean? Like there's just this
Well, I
when you
mean,
say that, it just brings me back to like some child trying to be good.
that to me, based on what I know about you, makes total sense with being the
Yeah,
youngest and having a military dad. I mean, as much as you loved your dad, like there were rules in your house that
for
I don't think
sure.
I had, Not that my parents
Yeah, for
were
sure.
hippies.
But also like I wasn't in Catholic school yet,
Mm,
um but yeah, there was a lot of that messaging from just the community I was in too, right?
yeah.
It wasn't even just it was definitely the time and the community I was in. There was a lot of like you should be nice and well behaved, right?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we are in, as you know, I am in the process of watching The Handmaid's Tale. You have watched it. I'm halfway through. And the constant, you're a good girl. Every time Aunt
Mm,
Lydia says to Janine or to June, and she uses
mhm.
it with such, um, you know, dagger like precision.
Shame,
right?
so much shame, so much
Shame,
shame.
like, but as a like a for Janine, it's often like as a gift, like a little piece of
Hmm.
candy when she's done what Aunt Lydia thinks she should do. And for June, yeah, it's absolute shame for sure, no question. But every time she says that, be a good girl, you're a good girl. I'm like the I can't say this word, infantilization of them, grown ass
Yeah,
women, you know. Again,
yeah.
it just takes you back.
Ooh, yeah.
Ah. So
Mm.
psychologist Harriet Lerner talks about how women are socialized to prioritize being nice over being honest. In her book, The Dance of Connection, she
Really
writes
good
that,
book.
oh, I bet. She writes that truth telling is often experienced as a betrayal of the roles we were taught to play. Again,
Yes.
Handmaid's Tale.
I highly also recommend her book, The Dance of Anger. That was like life-changing for
Ooh,
me.
okay.
Um, yeah, and I also want to name how this impacts women of color, LGBTQ plus folks, disabled women. The pressure to be agreeable just to stay safe.
Yeah.
Again, back to that safety is even more intense. Niceness becomes a survival strategy, and it comes at a cost.
Yeah, I mean, no question. The world has taught so many of us that being palatable means it matters more than being honest. And you know what? That is just a loss for everyone. That when you don't allow diverse voices to be heard and honesty to be heard, I don't care what you say, but it goes back to what we say all the time. It hurts men as much as it hurts women. That is a loss for everyone.
Yeah, just be nice for safety is what this podcast is turning into for me. It's so damn true. I don't know how to say her name really well. Resmaa Menakem. She wrote My Grandmother's Hands, also a
Mm.
book I loved.
Yeah,
I love
that's an
that
intense
quote. Like,
book.
niceness is not kindness. Niceness is often fear dressed up as compassion.
Yeah, that book. I
Yeah.
have not made it through that book because it was one of those books where I would read it, and I just it was so good and so much coming at me that I kept thinking I gotta go back. I gotta read that again. I gotta read. And then
Yeah.
finally I was just like I can't. I'm never gonna make it through this book, but it is. Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
amazing book. Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen this coaching so many women. You can only swallow your anger and override your truth for so long before it comes out sideways. It when you just push it down, push it down, push it down, you are going to either go numb, which is not helpful to anyone, or you are going to lose your shit in a passive aggressive way that is going to make sense to no one, including yourself.
Like the little
And
cloud.
yeah, exactly, like Alison Brie in the Lego movie. And then it's just what did the hell just happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's
Mm,
why, like, what we're talking about matters because we talk about a lot of times not reacting, but responding.
yeah.
Responding kindness, clarity, it does come from a grounded place. You do
Oh
have to be
yeah.
safe though. Like you do have to be physically safe to do that.
Yes.
But real kindness, doesn't come from fear. It never comes from fear. It comes from being grounded and from knowing you're safe enough to be real.
Mm,
So yeah, I think like what's really becoming clear to me, which wasn't before we talked about it, was obviously the goal is to never like just be nice and abandon yourself, right? Just be nice for someone else's sake and abandon your own um sake, right? But do it to survive and get out of there quickly. But really, truly, when we're in a grounded place, we can be kind.
hmm
And I think that's where the real connections happen and where growth happens is from that place. Just from knowing you're safe enough to be real.
Yeah, it is interesting because when you say just be nice, it is there's definitely I don't know, I have one feeling in my body, and when you say kindness, it feels grounding. Like literally
Mhm.
nice feels like a tool to get through something, and
Yeah.
kindness feels completely grounded and honest and real.
Yeah, and one you trust, and the
Yes.
other one feels really fake and like the movie Get Out, like where it
Yes.
feels a little fake. It
Yeah.
turns out it was. Yeah, there's something about it that I don't trust when it just feels surface nice. I do. I was listening to Amy Poehler. She was a guest on which was funny. She was a guest on Smartless, which is her ex-husband's podcast, but
Right.
they seem to have a cool relationship. But she talked about growing up in Chicago. She grew up in Chicago or
No, I
Boston.
don't think so. No, she
One
didn't
of
grow up
those
in
two
Chicago.
places. Maybe it's Boston. I can't remember. Oh, Boston. Yeah, because her, yeah. And she was talking about how like nice and polite was for people you didn't like. It was for people like you're just trying to get through a situation.
Yes.
Otherwise, like they were just teasing each other relentlessly, and like
Yes.
being made fun of was like the affection or being kind of rough or brutally honest. But like politeness and niceness was she's like, they don't like me. That's how she was right. It's like this
That's
is not
so
going well.
funny.
They're too nice.
I mean, I get that. I'm not a huge fan of making fun of people that you love,
Yeah.
but I know I think that's exactly right. I mean, it goes back to what we started with. You do nice to get out of town, to get through a situation, but real kindness does come from a place of safety and of
Mm.
honoring both yourself and the other person. You know, I no, I think that's amazing. And I think if we don't want to be swallowing our anger, then we have to learn how to sit with our feelings and how to respond again with this sort of grounded clarity instead of people pleasing. I think you told me that story about your sister, and it has sat with me. I know it hasn't been that long ago since you had this, but it has sat with me because she's not wrong. I mean, people pleasing has become like this bad thing. But if you think of it as you're outwardly pleasing someone versus trying to be part of something that is pleasing,
Right.
right? You know, so kindness
Yeah.
is good for everyone. And then
No, I
choosing to do something for somebody is good for everyone. But when you're constantly self-abandoning so as everyone else is happy, that's good for no one
right.
eventually.
Right. Right. If you're getting your needs met
Yeah.
and it feels good to make someone else feel special, that is not the same thing as people pleasing. The term people pleasing, I think, in the world of therapy really means like you're thinking of everyone but yourself.
Right. Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
go ahead. Yeah.
even the idea of like, you know, so if we're talking about clarity, kindness can look like something like, no, I can't help you with that right now. Kindness and clarity might mean there are some no's. And
Right.
if you are not used to saying no for whatever reason, um, or just, yeah, having boundaries around that, it can feel uncomfortable. I mean, we've talked about boundaries before on past
Yeah.
episodes. It is not an easy thing to do out of the gate.
Yeah. And I do want to just reemphasize and not skip over the idea that like to be kind, you really, really have to start with yourself. You have to be kind to
Mm,
yourself. You have to know what your needs are. If you neglect what your needs are, if you don't notice that you need some rest or some food or some water, it is really hard to come from a grounded place. And then you might
yes.
find yourself being fake and, fake nice to get through something. But to really be, not abandon yourself, just checking in with yourself is the first step. That's going to prevent you from losing your shit. And
Yeah.
then, like you said, I mean, and this is the whole thing we will always overemphasize here around boundaries. It does mean disappointing someone else. It
Yep.
really does. And letting someone be uncomfortable, letting yourself be uncomfortable, trusting everyone can handle it. And here's the thing, being kind often requires way more courage than being nice ever does.
No
It
question.
means standing in your truth even when your voice shakes. It means respecting yourself enough to stop shape shifting for approval. And I'm like wiggling reading those notes that I wrote about that because I've done both.
No question. I mean, these are the things we know because we've done them.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm just, I want to be really clear. I'm not saying them from a was kind, grounded, always place. Like I've done both of them even recently. Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and one feels like home and the other one feels like, fuck, this is not,
The one
and
that cracks
like,
me
how did
up
I
though
do
is
it?
the voice shaking because I will
Yeah.
tell you when I am standing in a truth that or typing a truth, Oh
Mm,
my God. It is amazing how my body reacts in those moments where I know I'm about to upset somebody or go against what they think of me or what they want. Man, my hands will shake, my voice, it's I'm gonna say I kind of hate it because when I'm doing that, it sounds like I'm upset or sad. And I often just name it because I'm like, this is me being angry. I'm crying because I am angry, not because I am
mm.
sad. Yeah.
Or feel bad.
Or feel
Yeah.
bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really important for us all to recognize that if it's true for us, it's probably true for other people and pay attention to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Back to Brene. She says
Mm.
compassionate people ask for what they need. They say no when they need to. And then when they say yes, they mean it. That is kindness. That is clarity. I think that's the
Mm,
best thing you can do because then when if somebody tells you no and then they say yes, you know that it is a hell yes. It is a wholehearted yes. If they say yes to everything, eventually you start to kind of question, like, did they really? Are you sure
Right.
about that? Again,
No, that's so true.
right?
And I really want to emphasize here the shift that we're talking about here. And I talk to my kids about this all the time, is from external validation, external approval to internal alignment, right?
Mm,
So, that's what real kindness flows from when you're internally aligned, when you didn't abandon yourself in a situation, then you're not worried about the approval or the validation of others, and really it's easy to be kind
yeah.
in that situation. And I think we certainly were raised, and it was overemphasized in all the media we consumed, and I really had to watch it with my own kids because it's just that comes through me too, right? Is really like going for so much external validation. How many clients do we have that got to like screeching halt in their 40s? Like everything I've done so far, I did for my parents or my husband or
Mm,
my friend wanted me to do this with her. Like I've never really asked myself what I want or what I like, right? And so like there is somewhat of a you should get married, you should have kids, you should have another kid, or you should go for that promotion, or you should there's so much shoulding that
mm.
I don't think people even knew that that's what was happening and there was another way to be. Like if I didn't, I used to say that if I didn't get good grades from my dad, I don't know if I would have gotten them. Maybe so, it may be a little true, but like obviously, like I had opportunities along the way to be like, well, what do I care about, and what am I working on this for, and what do I want to do with any of this? And I think that's what you and I are always desperate to help people stop and think about. Oh, you're forgetting one really important person here, you.
Yeah, I shameless plug, but I that is literally what our retreats are all about.
Yeah.
Is setting aside all the shoulds, all the roles, all the things you've done for others, if just for to say, what do I want? What do I want my next chapter to look like? That is that is our retreats in a goddamn nutshell. Sorry, I'm just doing my nutshell impersonation.
I forgot. This is me in a
This is
nutshell.
me in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Shout
gotta
out to
see the
Austin
video for
Powers.
that.
Here's the thing though, when you know that, when you come from this place of truth, it isn't about being nice. You're not going to be nice. It's about being whole. And isn't that what we all want?
Yes. Yes, that's the whole point. Being nice isn't necessarily whole, it's just surface.
Yeah,
Oh.
100%. So
And
we got
speaking of
two
nutshells,
songs.
that's just the shell.
Yeah, it is just the shell. That is literally just the shell that will crack into a million pieces if you don't figure out how to become whole. All right, so we have two songs this week, and we actually do like both of these songs. And I like it because we got some Gen Z action going, and then we got some good old Gen X action. So I'll let
Love
you
it.
start with the Gen Z.
I know, All American Bitch. I had to listen to it by Olivia Rodrigo because I've heard it, but I didn't know, like I couldn't remember if I'd heard it.
Yeah.
She absolutely nails the impossible standards women are expected to meet and what it feels like to crack under that performance. So the lyrics I pulled out were like, I don't get angry when I'm pissed. I'm the eternal optimist. I scream inside to deal with it. I'm sexy and I'm kind. I'm pretty when I cry with perfect all American lips and perfect all American hips. I know my place. I know my place. And this is it.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't even think we have anything more to say about that. That's
Right.
amazing. Although, no, I will say something. She's Gen Z.
Yeah.
She's Gen Z. So, going back to Barbie in the Real World,
Yeah.
we naively thought, it's better now. It's not. And
Because there's less creepy game show hosts, but apparently just,
stay tuned to first story on that one on our
yeah.
IG. No, but I mean, and unfortunately, we have reverted back even more so in under this new regime, right? The amount of men that get away with this shit, the manosphere is
Yeah.
teaching young men that this is how they should treat women, right? And so then we have to revert back to the being nice piece just to get the fuck out of town, So yeah,
Mm,
so it's upsetting that someone as young as Olivia Rodrigo even knows how to write those
upsetting.
lyrics.
It's upsetting.
So then we're going Gen X with Meredith Brooks's "Bitch," an anthem from the
Little
'90s.
bitch theme here.
Yeah, right. Because I own that. I fucking love that word. And it still slaps. I'm not gonna lie. She embraces the complexity, the rage, and the softness, the light, and as you've been talking about, the shadow. And she just refuses for it to be for her or anything to be one thing. So I'm a bitch. I'm a lover. I'm a child. I'm a mother. I'm a sinner. I'm a saint. I do not feel ashamed. Just when you think you've got me all figured out, the season's already changing. Tried to tell you, but you looked at me like maybe. I'm an angel underneath, innocent and sweet. Yesterday I've cried. You must have been relieved to see the softer side.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's just in my head.
Yep.
Such a good
So
song.
good. So good.
Ugh. All right. So thank you for going on this journey with us today. I would love
Mm.
for you to just start to notice when you are thinking you got to just be nice. And if you're feeling safe, make a different choice. I'm curious, what would it look like if we stopped teaching girls to be nice and instead taught them to be kind and real and true? Like, what kind of women would we become if we were raised with the belief that being direct, clear, and honest is actually loving?
Mm. And what would shift if we trusted that honesty and boundaries are part of love, not the opposite of love, but part of
Mm.
it? If we believed that we were worthy even when we say no, even when we take up space, even when we make someone a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, God. The best relationships in my life are now with people who can hear my no and not just even still love me, but they love that I took a stand like that. Like,
Yeah.
our friend Elijah always says, I'm so glad you told me that. I really want to honor
Yes.
that. So where I can show up with my edges and be met with respect. And I had to unlearn a lot of niceness to get there, and my relationships are better.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah.
As always, we're just so glad that you're in these conversations with us. We're so honored that you listen every week.
And if this episode stirred something in you, or somebody who you feel like, oh, I want to help her be less nice and just kinder to herself, if you or she are ready to stop performing niceness and start living with more courage and clarity, I would love for you to share this episode with them and consider if you want to reach out to us for more support around that.
And a great way to do that is to sign up for our mailing list if you aren't already. When you sign up, you get our masterclass, Unstuck and Unstoppable. And so that can really be the start of you no longer being kind or nice for niceness sake, but really learn how to be kind. It will get you unstuck and make you unstoppable for sure.
Mm. And I want to leave you with this thought: you do not have to be nice to be liked. You get to be real and be loved for it.
Amen. We'll see you next week.
Bye.